Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of My Awesome Friend. And I am excited to have in the studio with me today, Mr. Rudy Sablon. Hello, Rudy.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good, and you? Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Rudy, we've known each other for about 10 years now, and we met through an organization here in Miami who has now expanded throughout the state of Florida, the Motivational Edge.
Yeah.
A great organization that is working with youth across all ages, across all sectors, and providing arts therapy and arts education, and really just a safe space for them to be. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the organization before we dive right into you?
Sure, absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
It's awesome being your awesome friend. And I do want it to be known that you are popping my podcast cherries.
Yeah?
So this is exciting.
There's been many of those. There's been many of those, so that's exciting for sure.
Yeah, and I'd like to welcome all the listeners and thank you for spending some time with us.
Yeah, very cool. So tell us about The Edge.
So the Motivational Edge is a 501c3 nonprofit that uses culturally relevant arts and educational platforms and initiatives to engage, educate, and empower young lives forward. We work with youth from the age of 5 up until young adults, so the age of 23. And throughout these programs, we give them therapeutic arts, mentoring, life skill development, job readiness, and training, as well as other initiatives like health and wellness, dance. So as part of our ongoing mission, we have expanded to the Central Florida region, actually the Treasure Coast area. We have a second campus in Vero Beach that we're incredibly excited about. Our main hub is in Alapata. That's where The Edge started. Ian Welsh, the CEO, and myself, we were classroom teachers in Melrose Elementary in Alapata. Oh man, 17, 18 years ago when the thought was first conceived. Yeah. And you move forward now, 16 years later, and we've impacted the lives of over 17,000 youth, specifically working with kids that are in the child welfare system, kids that are in juvenile detention centers, residential treatment facilities, a lot of kids that have highly traumatic experiences, marginalization, and are incredibly vulnerable. So an unfortunate trend that we've seen is a lot of kids that are suffering are victims of human trafficking. That's been the trend the last couple of years, and we've seen a lot of an uptick with those youth that we've been receiving and being victims of human trafficking, unfortunately.
And I know that there was a period of time, too, where the Motivational Edge was working with undocumented immigrant minors.
Yes.
So kudos to Ian for being such a visionary and coming up with this organization that I think transpired from hip hop in the classroom, right?
Yeah, it actually started as a more traditional nonprofit, like a tutoring company, if you will, and then with classical arts. But we quickly recognized that the kids did not gravitate towards that. So that's why we made culturally relevant arts. We did a lot of beta testing and found out that the kids were interested in the hip-hop culture. Yeah. And we were one of the first organizations in South Florida to incorporate a lyrical expression program. And our program was called The Art of Creative Writing and Lyrical Expression. We actually won a Knight Foundation Award in 2014 for that program. And through that, we kind of gravitated to urban arts, right? Okay. So that graffiti aspect where kids are, because a lot of these children, they don't care to learn how to stroke a paintbrush or string a guitar. Right. But through getting into the studio and through these urban arts program and through our dance programs, we can open them to more traditional forms of the arts. And that's what we've been able to do over the last 16 plus years. So we're excited. And
it's been really awesome. And I think for anyone that is out there listening and is looking to potentially make an impact in their community, it was something as simple as a thought and just running with it. And now 16 years later, you're it's an amazing organization here in Miami and throughout Florida. I hope that people here in Miami, if they can relate, go check out the motivationaledge.org online and visit them and learn more about them.
Absolutely.
So now, Rudy, you're here because you are my awesome friend. Obviously, if not, you would be here. And aside from the fact that you work within the community space, the nonprofit space, the arts education space, which most of my friends are part of this nonprofit community initiative sector, you also have some other businesses, correct? Or had some other businesses along the way?
Yes.
So tell us about your entrepreneurship journey.
Sure. it started as I started as a classroom teacher, and when the decision was made to start the Motivational Edge, that was one of the more difficult decisions because you leave that consistency and security of a county paying job, a teaching job,
Yeah, paycheck.
to take
Benefits,
that step.
insurance, all the things. Yeah.
At least back then they were good. I don't know how they are now. But to take that first initial step was really scary. And I'm so glad that I did it because it allowed me to go cross industry. And what I mean by that is throughout this process, I was able to start an SES company. So this was a federally funded supplemental educational service, basically a tutoring company that I was able to expand in 8 states across 25 cities. And I had over 100 employees at one time. And I was providing kids with free tutoring in under-resourced areas. Fast forward to 2012, and I started off as a consultant for for a company, a publicly traded company out of Las Vegas called Legends Power, and it deals with exotic energies and the research and acquiring of exotic energies. And
Wait. What is exotic energy?
So basically, not your traditional forms of energy that we get, right? So they looked at a lot of like different forms of reusing batteries.
Okay.
Like hydrogen type
Okay.
energy and things of that nature. And that was a really interesting because it was outside of my industry. I'm in education. That's what I've always done. I've gotten my degrees in education. I got my graduate degrees in education. But I was working as a consultant, and they needed a CEO, and they asked me to fill in, and I sat in there for 2 years, and it brought me a lot of experience, especially being a publicly traded company. It was something that was completely different to me, and really unique, a really unique experience. Aside from that, I've had my consulting companies that I've been able to help.
Wolfpack Strategies?
Wolfpack Strategies, yes, ma'am.
Shout out.
Thank you. And, working with other organizations, nonprofits, school districts to be able to analyze and give them strategic leadership and vision. So that's been kind of the process so far.
Very cool.
I keep my finger on the pulse. So there's always, I'm always looking for something to get into and venture into. I'm at heart, I'm a nomad. So even though I was born and raised in the county of Dade, I find myself to always want to be traveling around and get involved into different things.
That's a great segue into our next topic. You're traveling.
I like to travel. I do travel a lot. I found myself, and oddly enough, I was in my early 30s when I first, not to date myself, but I was in my early 30s when I first really actually started experiencing travel. And I was like, what the hell have I been doing with my life? Why am I wasting time and money on certain other things, material things, when I could be making memories? And those memories, your watch will deteriorate, your car will deteriorate. Not that you don't need these things, but I really focused on the idea of creating experiences in my life and experiencing other cultures. And it really opened me up to a lot of different things. I have traveled from, China, Iceland.
Well, wait a minute, because I want to ask you some quick fire questions. So quick fire questions, they're very single, one-line type sentences. We can go back and talk about the different places, but I think it would be interesting to put you on the spot to see how you answer some of these questions that I didn't tell you before in advance. So, like you said, you've traveled a lot. You've been traveling for some time without dating you. What is the one place you are itching to go back to?
Reykjavik, Iceland.
Interesting. What is one place that you would consider moving to?
Ooh. So, Savannah, Georgia.
Ooh, beautiful.
Or New Orleans.
Interesting. So in the States?
In the States. In
Beautiful.
the States. Outside of the States, I would say Portugal.
Oh, Portugal. Very beautiful. What country or destination have you visited the most?
So, destination in the States, it would definitely be New Orleans. I go every year. I go to New Orleans. This summer, I'm going for a little while. Outside of the States, I would have to say it would probably be London.
Okay.
or Cancun just because it's so close.
Why not?
And
Yeah.
sometimes, it gets thrown in there every couple of years. But I would say London.
Okay.
It's always a stopping ground when you're going through Europe. You kind of stop at London for whatever reason, and it's easy to get to
Okay.
from there.
In all your travels, what has been your favorite dish or meal?
So, December of 2023.
Oh, you know this one. Okay, good.
December of 20. Yes, this is actually. So, I
very relevant.
I went to Peru,
Okay.
and I always was under the assumption that Peruvian food was just ceviche, and that's my own misconception. They have such a wonderful cuisine there, and it's seafood heavy, which I
Yeah.
love, but this dish in particular isn't seafood. It's lomo saltado.
Oh, lomo saltado.
Oh my goodness, that blew my mind.
Yeah. Did you have papas a la huancaína? The potatoes with the cheese sauce on top?
I know, yes. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, the
It's
food there was
delicious.
so good. It really blew my mind.
Shout out to our Peruvian brothers and sisters out there.
There's so many.
Yeah.
When I was there, I had so many people reaching out like, hey, I'm from Lima. I'm from Cusco. And I'm like, I didn't even know they were
cool.
Peruvian.
Very cool.
But yeah, it was a really, really dope experience. And that food was outstanding. Now, best cut of meat that I've ever had,
Yeah.
believe it or not, cost me $3, and it was in Nicaragua.
No kidding.
It was in Nicaragua. It was a full meal too.
Delicious.
And it was the best steak I've ever had in my life. I have spent hundreds of dollars on a cut of meat, and this was the best one. So there you go.
Best place to shop that you've been to?
Best place to shop. So
Or where have you done the most damage?
Are you talking about potentially like best place to shop on a specific budget, or best place to shop and you don't necessarily have any restrictions?
Whatever you'd like to tell our audience.
China, because everything is created over there. You got whatever you want over there. They got malls that are the size of cities.
I bet.
They're huge. So in terms of just being able to get things at a relatively decent price, China's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Best place to shop, Champs-Élysées in France.
Oh, okay.
So
Did you do some damage there?
yeah, any store you go into, you buy one item, it's damaged.
These are
So
facts.
yeah, there's definitely damage to be done there. But
Okay.
I would say that those are the spots.
All right. So to round off this last set of this quickfire round, what is one place that you have yet to go to that are just itching to go to?
Okay. So I have been for the last couple of years planning out going to Spain. My culture comes from Spain. I'm Cuban American. My heritage comes from Spain and Morocco. So like from that area, my grandparents are from La Isla Canaria. And every time I go and I start planning it out, for some reason or another, I
Life.
don't. No, I go somewhere else. Like for example, when I went to Peru, I made the decision to go to Peru because instead of Spain during that time, because I heard that they are going to put restrictions in Machu Picchu because of the tourism. It's eroding the Machu Picchu, the ruins,
landmark.
and I didn't want to go there and then have that they restricted to 150 days out of the year, and then during those 150 days you have 150,000 people there. No, so I decided to. The year before that, it was something I found a better deal in what I was trying to do, so I ended up going to Europe still, but not to Spain. So I've been dying to go to Spain because I feel like there's a piece of my heart there, and I've heard that the cuisine is great. I'm a fat boy at heart, and I love to eat. So if there's, I will say this about food though: be concerned if you're a picky eater. If you ever do decide to go to China, it is difficult.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not the Chinese food that we're accustomed to at all.
We've got Americanized Chinese food here.
That they don't even have that type of food out there.
Is there anything specific else that you want to share or maybe inspire someone else in regards to travel?
I can only give maybe 2 tips, and that would be first, don't be afraid to travel during the off season. A lot of times people don't want to because the weather might be a little bit off or whatever the case is. I have had wonderful luck going during the off season. It tends to be less crowded, so you get to experience a lot more. Like for example, like New Orleans, I would never tell anybody to go during Mardi Gras. Not because it's just you don't get to experience real New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's not that that's not it, but you don't get to experience too crowded, too packed. So don't be afraid to go there. And plus, it's also cheaper. So it's a little bit more, it's a little easier to go. And then the second thing is I plan a lot of my trips out 6 months to a year in advance. It gives everybody notice, my
You can
work,
plan,
my
yeah.
family, everybody knows, hey, I got all of these things going on. And you get really decent rates as well. The last thing I'll say is out of all the places that I've traveled to, Iceland has got to be probably the most beautiful place I've ever been to. It
Yeah.
blew my mind. When I was there, I was like, oh, it's never gonna get any better than this.
And it just kept getting better.
Well, I'm just saying, like, this trip, I was like, I hit the pinnacle of travel.
Yeah.
Now everything, and it's not that everything after that was not up
But
to
it's at
par,
the
but it
bar.
was, that was there. And
What was the most beautiful place that you got to experience there?
Gullafos waterfall. This waterfall took, just to put it in perspective, I took pictures of it, and it took me I had to walk, and it took me 3 pictures to get this waterfall. It was just miles and miles long. It blew my mind. And there's a black sand beach there.
I saw that on your Instagram, I think.
Yeah, and it was snowing. The sand was black. There was caves on the beach.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just so crazy. Like, just so many, And plus, I
Awesome.
love Games of Thrones, and a lot of it was filmed there. So until
Oh
it
my
broke
God,
my
worst last episode
heart.
ever.
It broke my heart. I'm still scorned.
I'm so sorry. I never watched an episode of Game of Thrones, and I showed up to a friend's last episode
Oh, and they were probably
get together.
so pissed.
They were, and I was
It
just like,
so shitty.
WTF? I really like a good sword fight and a good dragon fight, and I got none of it. So
Yeah.
thank you, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So let's travel back
Sure.
to Miami, if
All
you
right.
will. One of the other reasons why I think you are so awesome, not just you, but you've got this whole group of guys that you are an amazing support system for each other, a cheering squad. I see it
Sure.
all the time on your Instagram. And the organization is called the Bearded Villains of Miami, or just Bearded, Villains Miami.
Yeah.
There's chapters around the world, right? Around the U.S.
Actually, it's an international organization, and there are multiple chapters in the United States. There's probably, I want to say, about 200 chapters worldwide. Oddly enough, in my travels, I hit up the other chapters, and they will take me out. So, like in London, I connected with the brothers from over there, and they took me out for a beer, and they told me about things. And
Nice. It's family.
Yeah. So it's I'll get into what the Bearded Villains is.
Yes.
It's a social club. It's essentially a social club with a social purpose, but it is a 501c3. So it is a nonprofit. And our initiatives are geared, or specifically the Miami chapter, kind of sets the trend for the rest of the world. Like a lot of because we are the most organized chapter,
Nice.
and the initiatives that we do are kind of trend setting in this realm. So a lot of people look at us as kind of the leading Bearded Villains
Yeah.
chapter. We also have a very close-knit group of guys. It's about 40 plus, give or take, of us.
Hold on. You say us, but let me let the world know out there. By us, he means these beautifully bearded, burly, tattooed men. Not all of you are bald, right? It's not bearded, burly, bald. Because that would be a whole nother club.
But about 50% of us are, including myself. So yeah.
But it is a beautiful group, so keep telling us.
Thank you. Yeah. So and that was part of the idea of having that villain name, right? Because obviously, part of the organization is having a beard.
Is that required? Like, is it in the stipulations?
Yes, you need either a beard, a mustache of a certain length, right? There's
Women too? I mean, some of us have.
Hey, if you can get it in, let's go. And we don't discriminate. And so it was also to change the stigma associated with people that might look a little intimidating at times, but really we are just here for the community, and we're. Sure, I wouldn't say you want to mess with us, but at the same token, we're very kind and compassionate individuals. And at the end of the day, we do everything to give back to the community. Our current initiative, which is called the Villain's Wish, we are giving back to a little girl that's fighting a childhood cancer. Most recently, she in part of her bout with with cancer. She lost her leg. She's about 7 years old. Beautiful young lady, super resilient. Always has a smile on her face, and we're trying to make her wish come true. So we've been able to get her with the Miami Heat cheerleaders to do a dance and to meet them. We're trying to get them to go to Disney World, all expenses paid, so be able to kind of give her back. So it's kind of like the Make-A-Wish kind of idea, but locally and specific to children, and underserved families. So that's our Villain's Wish initiative. And every Thanksgiving we give back to over 300 families full Thanksgiving meals, turkey, stuffing, pies, the whole deal. And then during Christmas time, we gave over 500 children, and this was in collaboration with the Motivational Edge, gifts, and not like one gift or two gifts. They were leaving looking like Santa Claus.
Weren't there bikes one year?
There was bikes every year. We have about 20 different bikes that we end up raffling off, because otherwise the first 20 kids would take those bikes.
Yeah.
But the gifts that we get these kids are also, they're not just like a little Matchbox car. They're solid toys. And these kids are walking away looking like they're little Santas. They have a whole bag filled with toys, and they got smiles on their faces, and that's what we do it for.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's really amazing. Shout out to the Bearded Villains all across the world, because you guys are international.
Yeah.
And shout out to our Miami chapter, who's may seem not as big as a Make-A-Wish, but that one little impact, that one little ripple is going to be life-lasting. So kudos to you all.
Thank you.
So Rudy, tell us about Rudy. Who's Rudy? I know Rudy is a dad of 2 or 3 children. Are they all out of high school already?
3 known children.
3 known. That's what my dad would say too.
So yes, my children are all adults now. My eldest is 25.
Followed in your footsteps, no, of education?
He did, but he knew better, and I told him he was going to get worn out, and he started his first year in the classroom. He worked with kids that had special needs, and I think it got to him a little bit in terms of, and I think the bureaucracy with administration in certain aspects kind of affects people. So right now he's actually he got his firefighting license, or whatever that is, the certificate for that, and then he's getting his EMT. He wants to be an EMT paramedic, and that's where he's pursuing, and he's doing that. So
that's
he just needs to complete the last, I think, national exam, and that's it.
Nice.
And then he goes for a job on that. So he's doing well. Other son is in college, and my last son is graduating high school. So yeah, so my last son turns 18 this year, and I am good. I'm ready to travel some more now.
Yeah,
I'm ready. Yeah, they're good. They're self-sustaining. They got cars. They got their jobs. They're doing their things. They're good kids, thank God. I'm blessed in that aspect. I was a single father for the majority of my life, and since 2011, basically. And so I was able to raise them in my image, if you will. And I was blessed to that they are really good kids. And yeah.
Any words for any single dads out there that are holding it down?
Well, I'd say that sometimes, because many times I played the role of mom, dad, and I am more traditional, strict kind of an individual, and I learned to be more compassionate, more nurturing. And I think that's an incredibly, especially if you don't have, and luckily there were females that I was involved with that took that nurturing role sometimes. But if you don't have that and you are a true single father, learning to accept that and learning to be a little bit more nurturing, learning to be a little bit more compassionate. And I think we could do that in all aspects of our lives,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, driving, I've got to be a lot more compassionate or less compassionate. I don't know. I don't know which way it is. It's its own beast.
It's almost like a mind your business, just stay in your lane situation, which is why I don't drive.
Yeah, no, it's awful. It's good. I'm almost there. But yeah, I would say that would be, one main thing, and just keep going, because sometimes it's not always perfect. It's icky sometimes. It doesn't, but having real conversations with your kids, and I did that with my children since a young age. I spoke to them like adults.
Yeah.
I didn't shy away from hard conversations. I spoke to them. I kept drilling them, and telling them, hey, this is how life is. This is this. This is that. This is this. You're going to experience it at some point. I don't want it to knock you on your knees and you don't know how to get up, how to recover, or to not expect it. So just be honest, have open conversations with your children, and just keep pushing forward. I mean, or I don't know, throw them out. I don't know. Either or. So
let's not throw out children.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So Rudy, what are you listening to these days in terms of music, podcast, audiobooks?
Yeah. So I love to read.
Okay.
And I actually just got a copy of a book from a fellow colleague from Berklee College of Music that he finished his, I believe it's his first book. It's called Beyond.
Nice.
Beyond Pain, Purpose, and there's another P there. And this is from Misael Martinez.
Okay.
And I picked up this book this past week, and it's very empowering. It's a lot about how to deal with personal trauma, pain, and transforming it. And that's I don't usually tend to read those type of books. I'm more a historical fiction kind of guy, and I love, Ken Follett is my favorite writer. But that book was really empowering. So shouts out to Misael, man. It was a really nice book.
And then what are you listening to?
Listening. So my musical palette is a little erratic.
Eclectic? No, erratic? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
That's beautiful.
And it really depends on the mood. I like to use music to either when I'm writing or studying. I need something to kind of calm my mind, calm all the other voices that are trying to talk in here, and it kind of calms it, soothes it.
I call those the natives.
Yeah, those natives. The natives are restless.
They're restless.
And when I'm working out, and really depending on the mood, I mean, I could go from Pink Floyd to Prince to, I was just listening to the new Ghostface Killer album that came out.
Oh my God, Ghostface Killer.
He just came out with a new album.
Sorry, not Killer, Killer, right?
Killer,
okay.
Killer.
Ghostface Killer.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's actually a really good album.
What was that one song that was super popular when we were in middle school?
Incarcerated Scarfaces or something like
was
that.
It? Okay.
Or Ice Cream or one of those.
I just remember it going like Ghostface Killer.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any member of Wu-Tang.
No.
But yeah, so that, I mean, and it kind of rotates.
Me too.
But I do like my classical rock. I'm a big classical rock fan. Yeah, I love jazz.
Oh, jazz.
Give me some Domino Fats.
I need jazz in the mornings while I wake up with my coffee. That's how I start my day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's calming.
It isn't. Yeah, I need like death metal in the morning to rattle me. No, I'm playing. I don't listen to that. See, that's something I won't listen to.
Depends on the email that just came in at like 8:15 in the morning.
True that.
That's funny. So classical rock, like who? Who's your favorite artist?
Pink Floyd, Queen.
Okay. Sing something.
I'm just a poor boy from a poor family. He's just a poor boy. Yeah, you could edit that. Yeah,
I think we need to keep that.
Yeah,
that is not being edited. That is.
I'm gonna throw this thing in the garbage.
That is 100% staying on the video, on the recording.
Yeah.
Rudy, you have a dog.
I have that is my very best son. All right, let's just put that out there. I have 3 boys, but that boy, my 4th boy, his name is Hendrix. He's a Frenchie. And I got him as an emotional support dog initially. And I ended up becoming an emotional support human for him because they have so much anxiety. I did not know that these dogs come with this type of anxiety.
Yeah.
But they're really dope.
Dope loyal dog.
Yeah, like they're just, their personalities are so quirky, like almost. They're not really dogs. They're kind of like rabbit, pig, cat, dog mix. It's just a weird little animal. They snore really loud. That is a thing.
Do you still have the bearded dragon?
Bearded dragon died about 2 years ago.
Passed.
Yeah.
Aww. I've lost about 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one. I actually
They're
gave
hard.
one to one of our students, Hot Wheels.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
teaching
Shout out
artist.
to Mr. Howells.
Yeah, one of our former students, and now he's an intern with us. And I gave
Good.
him one of the, and that one's still kicking. So
Oh, good.
yeah, Gizmo.
I love
Yeah.
bearded dragons. They're awesome.
Yeah, they were
They're
cool.
such chill little pets.
I used to take them out, and then one time I took it out, had it on my shoulder, and it like did a nosedive, and it just kind of flopped on the ground, and I'm like, I'm not taking him out anymore.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean he was fine,
Yeah. He
but
landed
it
on his
just
feet.
I didn't like the splat sound. I was like, ew.
Oh no, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So and then I was like, I was in Publix or something, and I had him on my shoulder, and I just went out with him. I was like, it's cool, and yeah, no, that
you took him to Publix like a parrot.
yeah.
Okay, sure. I would have
mean,
done the same thing.
I had an eye patch and everything. You know, it's kind of like a
I can't with Rudy.
bearded pirate.
Yeah, you know what? That could be a fun Halloween costume for you guys this year.
Yeah.
Just like a little fake little bearded dragon on your shoulder.
Yeah, or get some
Some
parrots.
real
And put
parrots.
a beard with a parrot.
Oh my God, I can't.
A parrot.
So, this has been a really great chat. We've talked about your travels. We've talked about community work. We've talked about the awesome bearded villains. Fun conversations about food and your dog. Is there anything else that you maybe want to share? Words of inspiration for our listeners? Anything else that makes you awesome? Any last final thoughts?
I do.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
turn this table. I actually want to know what inspired you to do a podcast.
Oh, it's funny. I've been asked this a couple of times already.
Oh, so you're prepared for this? Hold
Yeah,
on.
I
I'm gonna
really
switch up the
am.
question now.
Do it.
No,
Okay,
play-
go do it.
no. I want to hear
No,
this.
it really does. I just answered this with one of our last guests. So it comes from a very self-fulfilling place.
Mhm.
So my grandmother was a radio locutora, a radio anchor person in Cuba,
Okay.
as well as here. And she was very into the acting scene. So she did theater, she did novela, she did a movie with Antonio Banderas where she played his mom. So to be part of this world now where it's like an opportunity to have a voice, have a show, do something within the arts, because even though this is a podcast, it's still very much a form of an art, right? There's
Sure.
video production and there's graphics to be made and
absolutely.
marketing and all the things, and even in speech, so there's that aspect of it. So part of it is like Avi, my grandmother, like total inspiration. I auditioned to be radio child kid, also all the things. She worked at La WQA, which is like a super, or was a super well-known Miami/Cuba radio station. But then fast forward to the world that we're living in. I do some PR, some media relations for some of my nonprofit clients for
I'm well aware. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
You're
Thank you for that
welcome.
work.
for initiatives, the community initiatives, things like that, sometimes clients, sometimes pro bono. And it's so hard to get local media to cover your good news. Everything is a shooting here, a shooting there, a rape here, the mom who got stabbed by the kid, this person who, like, the teacher in the school who molested. I'm so over it. And it's like, and that's not even politics. That's not even like
Yeah.
political news, which is a whole nother world. So part of me just kind of got really tired of it. And I've been conceptualizing this for a while. During COVID, I recorded a few episodes of something called Good Stuff Only. It didn't really go anywhere. Some of the people I interviewed moved jobs, so they couldn't represent that organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so along came this opportunity with Nucleus Sub here in Coconut Grove, Florida. And I jumped on it, and I have the skill sets to edit and market and whatnot, and so it's
sure
just
do.
kind of like a passion project.
That's
It's really
awesome.
it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wanted to know about it, and actually, something that you said resonated with me because,
Ooh.
and by the way, my awesome friend
Is awesome.
It's a great name. I love it. I think it's so cool.
Thank you.
Very fitting as well, right? But,
Yeah, all my awesome friends will be sitting in this chair.
Yes, but that negativity that's almost being force-fed to us, right? Because it's sensational or whatever it is. And that, you asked if there was some final words, and I think it's incredibly important for all of us as individuals, as a community, as a society, as a humankind, to understand that we're all dope. We all have something unique. We all have something that's awesome. We are all awesome friends Maybe we don't always shine.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not always putting our best and most awesome face forward or foot forward, but we all are. We all have that inside of us. And I think it's incredibly important because especially with the youth nowadays, that they're seeing all of this stuff on social media, not recognizing that it's not necessarily real,
Yeah.
or that it's created in a way that to make you think that you're not good enough, you're not doing enough,
Yeah.
you're not. I mean, I feel like that. I feel feelings of inadequacy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what people tell me, oh, you've done this, you've done that. I don't care. I don't feel like enough. And sometimes it's self-founded, and sometimes it's put in there because that's what's being put into our mind. And really having a grasp on our mental well-being is so incredibly important, because I feel like we're semi-losing that battle to ourselves as a whole, as a society. We're losing that battle, and we're losing a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've lost friends to mental wellness. I know a lot of people, maybe some of your listeners have lost or are dealing with this. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I deal with it,
Yeah.
whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever it is. And we need to focus on ourselves, and we need to just keep ourselves first, not necessarily in a selfish way, but really make sure we take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
because we can't take care of anybody else if we don't take care of ourselves. And understand that we're all good enough. We all have something that to contribute to society, to this world, in whatever minuscule way it is. It will reverberate throughout time and history forever.
Yeah.
In whatever small minuscule way it is, until we're either reincarnated or whatever happens when you die, whatever it is. But that will continue to go on through eternity, and just know that impact does make an impact, and like, we're dope. Like,
Yeah.
whether you feel it or not, you
Yeah.
are. And you are.
You
Definitely.
are. And the reality is that we all have ups and downs, and we're all dealing with issues, and we all have bad things, good things, at different levels, albeit, happening in our lives. And, I choose not to not take into account all the bad stuff. I mean, it has to get handled.
Yeah.
But I choose to celebrate and live in more of the happier space, because I'm not making that up either, right? It's like stuff that is good. To your point, like, I don't feel adequate because this person did this, but at the end of the day, you are adequate. Like you had some really awesome fellowship, right, or scholarship opportunity when you were
a family scholar. I was able to pay my way through college through a scholarship that I got on my own.
Yeah, so all these things, and I mean, that was, albeit 100 years ago, just kidding.
200 years ago, let's be more accurate.
But it set the trend for your path and to where you are, so I do appreciate that. No, I think you're right. I think we are all absolutely dope in our right ways.
Yeah. And the ebbs and flow of life, because it's not always all good, right? And there's this, that saying that we've all heard, if you don't have those losses, those victories don't taste the same. If you're always winning, then you become numb to it, right?
Yeah.
I love pizza, but if I ate pizza every day, I would be like, I don't care about pizza,
Yeah.
Maybe after about a few years of it, but sure. Like,
No, and you need the failures to get back up and
exactly.
be better, be
that's
smarter.
That's what builds the character, right?
Yeah.
And I have been on my knees, and I have lost everything 3 times in my life, and I have been able to rebuild. I have been able to reestablish myself. I've been able to get back, maybe not the prominence, but to where I want to be, to where I felt good, and then continue to move on. And then I got knocked down again, and then and that's life.
Yeah.
That's what life is about. It's not always good. You lose people, you lose family, you lose friends, you lose loved ones, you lose, I don't want to lose my dog, but that's going to happen too.
Oh my God, I know.
And that's part of life. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it beautiful. The pain makes it beautiful sometimes. And sometimes I don't even realize that. And I just kind of go down into this dark, dreary, the 4 walls are eating me alive. And I'm like, it's all bad. And it's like, yeah, but you know what? That bad makes it good sometimes, and I have to learn for my own self how to accept that negativity and that all the bad, because it'll bring good too. At some point, you just got to keep going. We just can't give up.
Yeah, as much as I hate failure, because who wants to be put in a bad light, I love failure.
Yeah.
Because you learn.
Yeah,
And
that's where the lessons are.
yeah, it's where the lessons are, not only in fixing the mistakes that you made as part of whatever you were doing, but to your point about getting down, being brought down 3 times and getting back up, it teaches you about you. It teaches
Resiliency.
your resilience, right? Your willpower, your mental capacity, and that is far and beyond anything that could ever be taught in a book by a friend or just a life
Experience
lesson.
is the best teacher of all.
100%, all the experiences. So on that note, my awesome friend, thank you for this experience.
No, thank you. You were very gentle. Thank you for my first time. You were very gentle, considerate. So thank you for that. This was a great experience for me. I appreciate it, and I
welcome.
wish you nothing but the most success, my friend.
Thank you. Well, that means that we're going to have you back for a not so gentle episode is what I'm hearing.
Hey, I will be back in town soon. So let's.
Where are you off to next? New Orleans?
Savannah, then New Orleans, and then maybe South America.
Love it.
And then end of year, I'm looking at Japan.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've never been to Japan. I'm excited for that. The yen, by the way, for those of you, the yen is at a 30-year low. So if you're going to travel to Japan, this might be the time to do it. Just FYI.
Just double check because by the time that this episode comes out, it might be a few weeks later.
Yeah, it'll be over on there.
We'll be catching up. But anyways, Rudy, thank you again so much for your time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode. We'll have tons of information in the bio below and on our social content. And thank you. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye, everybody.